everybody, for being here. This is Andy Barton with TNA Wrestling. Just a couple of housekeeping issues before we get into the interview. Just to remind everybody that our Final Resolution pay-per-view is this Sunday, January 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Wanted to go over and give everybody the ratings for last Saturday's airing of Impact, the 1706 show. We equaled our highest men 18 to 34 rating to date. The telecast averaged a 0.9 household rating with a 0.8 in males 18 to 49, a 1.04 in males 18 to 34. Versus weeks 1 through 11, the show was up 16% in households. It was up 11% in men 18 to 49, and it was up 42% in men 18 to 34. Through 12 Saturday night original plays, the show is averaging a 0.8 household rating with a 0.7 in men 18 to 49 and a 0.8 in men 18 to 34. So without further ado, TNA Wrestling would like to introduce Sting.
How you doing? Pretty good, guys. How's it going? All right. Excuse me. Sting, Brendan Brooks, Wrestling Epicenter. First question I wanted to ask you was, does your religious views often influence your decisions on participating in certain storylines? I'm sorry, I missed the whole first part of that. Would you say it again? This is Brendan Brooks from Wrestling Epicenter. Does your religious views often influence your decisions on participating in certain storylines? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I have, fans of all different ages, all the way from little kids on up, and yeah, I mean, I'm not going to do anything that's going to jeopardize my walk or my witness or my integrity. So, yeah. Thank you.
Sting, John Massalonis, the host of the Monday Night Mayhem radio show in Buffalo. How you doing this afternoon?
Good. How are you?
Doing quite well. Probably the main issue that a lot of our listeners and fans want to know is why now? Why a return to the wrestling business, and why to TNA? What basically do you want to say to all of your critics that are wondering he's got nothing left in the tank, and why would he come back right now?
Well, only time will tell if I have anything left in the tank or not. There's some pretty big names that are even older than I am that are still out there. And still, Ric Flair's a human Super Bowl still, and
very true.
Hogan comes back from time to time, and Taker, and guys like that. But anyway, why now? It's now or never. And the way I left wrestling was not the way I wanted to leave, or I would think most wrestling fans would not have wanted it that way either. And every year that goes by, I just say, well, I think this will be it, and I know that this year, this is it. If I don't do something now at my age, then it's just never going to happen. And I think what a great opportunity with TNA, full circle with Jeff Jarrett. His dad hired me originally in 1985. So it is coming full circle. And Jerry was good to me in the beginning. He could have let us go and just, watched us leave wrestling altogether, but he finished us up, yes, but he placed us somewhere, and he got us a job with Bill Watts in the UWF at the time. So I never forgot that, and so I want to give back in some way. I want to be able to say goodbye, to wrestling, in a better way, and so now is just a good time. And I was a second-class citizen with WCW for a long time until we launched our Monday Nitro show, and so I know what it's like to try to build an organization. And I'm up for the challenge, and I see potential here with TNA.
Is that why you chose TNA over the competition, which is the WWE?
That is one of the reasons. Dixie Carter and her family, and even the people from Spike, even though I haven't met anybody there, they've just been so accommodating. They've been really good to me, and the schedule is really good, obviously. And, with the WWE, the commitment that I would have had to make would have been more than I'm willing to make. So, TNA just seems the natural route for me to take.
Does the fact that TNA is more family-based have any reverberations on your decision to join TNA?
Of course it does. I mean, when you compare the two, I feel like I have a brand on me, and the brand is more, which we were more family oriented at the time. And, and WWE has always been what it's been. And, with TNA, I almost feel like, it's sort of the same brand. And it's like I'm still, I'm coming back home almost,
Excellent. Nobody else around?
Might as well throw another question. Sting again, John Matsulonis at the Monday Night Mayhem show in Buffalo. With how Eric Bischoff has been portrayed sort of as Vince McMahon's lackey, at least on Raw itself, tie that into how WCW has been portrayed throughout the course of the past couple of years with Brian Alvarez and Artie Reynolds book, The Death of WCW. Do you think that your former company is getting a bad rap, or do you think that in 2006 that at least the wrestling business should pay tribute to WCW the way that it should be portrayed as a promotion that launched a lot of careers and gave back to 20 in the business?
I mean, what's the point, really? I don't really understand. I mean, history is gone. I mean, it's done. It's why go back and rehash in 2006, what accomplishments that WCW either did or did not make? I really don't understand that.
This is John Pollock from Live Audio Wrestling.
Right.
First of all, what was one of the primary motivating factors just at this age to get back into wrestling? What was it that really got you to want to get out of the house? What was the main motivating factor?
Well, first of all, I'm not in the house. I've been very busy. But it started with a phone call from Jeff Jarrett and from Dixie Carter and Jerry originally also, Jeff's dad. And that's where it started. And, my initial reaction was no, that I did not want to go back into wrestling. At least at the time, I did not want to go back to TNA. Really, I don't think I wanted to go anywhere, but the door wasn't completely closed, and it started with that phone call, and I said no at first and thought about it. But, I left wrestling. I didn't like the way it ended, and I never had a chance to, really say goodbye to everybody. Never had a chance to, retire and to go out, in a better light. And Jerry Jarrett, I mentioned this in the last interview, that, he gave me my break originally. And what a way for me to come full circle and to give back to wrestling.
Right. Now, it's been no secret that the WWE has been after you for a number of years. Has there been any dialogue in the recent year with you and the WWE at all?
Yeah. No, I talked to them recently, just before I signed a contract with TNA, as a matter of fact. They contacted me, and we had conversations.
Right. Now, one of the biggest assets in TNA has been that they have been able to provide an alternative to the WWE, and with some of their guys like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, obviously not the same kind of style that you work. How do you feel you're going to fit into the main event mix in TNA? And what kind of alternatives that they provide for the viewer if they're not interested in WWE?
Well, you know what? I am gonna figure out a way to plug myself in and find my niche. Definitely, I'm not going to be doing, some of the high flying stuff that you've seen those guys do now. I mean, I've seen some moves with some of those guys on TNA that I've never seen before. I don't even know how it's possible that they're doing them. But I've also seen some guys that wrestle more my style also. So it's not as though it's a completely dead breed. There's still guys out there that still tell the same story in the same way, and I believe that there's still an audience out there that's still interested in that as well. So whatever I can add, I'm going to add, and I'm going to do the very best that I can.
Is there any one particular guy that you can isolate on the roster that you see that you could really get into a long-term program with and do some pay-per-views with?
I've always had good matches with, the big guys, years ago with Vader and with Paul White. I loved the matches that I had with those guys. And, Abyss is somebody who I love his work. And there's some kind of little chemistry there that I think we have, and I'd love to be able to do something with him.
Right, and we'll just finish off. You've got a 1-year contract with TNA, and I mean, no question, Sting is a legend in the industry, and I think there's a unique way to book legends. I think with someone like Ric Flair, who's out there every week, it kind of loses its uniqueness. when he's out there every week. Do you foresee yourself being out there every week on TV, or is it going to be, periodically on pay-per-views? How do you see yourself being booked in the next year?
Well, this isn't a part-time thing that I signed up for, and they're doing 2 TV tapings every other week, so it's one show that will air every week and then 1 pay-per-view a month. So it's not a lot of travel time, it's not a lot of work time as it stands right now, and I'm going to be pretty involved. I don't believe that it'll be on every single TV and every pay-per-view, but I'm going to be pretty consistent for the next 12 months.
Great. Thanks a lot, Sting.
Got it.
Once again, this is James Walsh at Wrestling Epicenter, just giving you a quick question, which is, Ric Flair is seen as a guy who really works with the young talent and helps elevate them to his level, or at least in the eyes of the fans to his level. Is that something that you are looking forward to doing in TNA, which has perhaps the youngest roster in wrestling today?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that is one of the ways that I want to give back. And, somebody had mentioned my critics, and I know that there are critics out there. And some of the guys that are, probably thinking that, Sting's going to come in and just push everybody aside. And no, it's not going to work. That won't work. And I know that, one of the ways to give back is to actually give back and try to elevate some of the guys that I'm working with. And that is my intention. I remember when Hulk came into WCW, in the mid 90s, and when he came in, I had wrestling fans and people on the internet and people everywhere that would constantly ask the question, does it bother you that Hulk Hogan has come in here and they've just sort of pushed you aside? And I said, no, it doesn't bother me at all. As a matter of fact, I welcome him coming in because it takes away some of the burden from me, number one. And number two, it elevates the whole company. It helps all of us. And in the long run, if we do everything right, storyline included, then man, it's going to be a payoff for everyone. So I'm hoping that I will be able to do that, and some of the guys, some of the critics out there will see it like that, I'm not coming in to push people aside.
When we saw on Spike TV, they did a little bit of a tribute to you with various of your looks through the years. Many people always ask this question. I'll be the next in a long line to ask the question. Might we see a new look from Sting?
It's going to be a similar look. The only thing that'll be different is I have short hair.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that'll be a little bit different. I mean, the other night I filmed some stuff behind the scenes that will air later on, and I painted up, got all geared up and dressed up, and looked at myself and went, wow, I didn't feel like I looked like Sting, but we'll see. It's not the hair that makes the wrestler, that's for sure.
Last year, TNA's come a really long way with the TV deal on Spike, and I mean the pay-per-views are just home run after home run. What do you feel is the next step TNA needs to take to get closer to being, a solid number 2 to the WWE? I mean, they've already made great strides in the last year.
Well, we need to have a better time slot, and obviously, and I'm gonna, with everything in me. And I have a few different ideas on how I might be able to do it, but I'm going to pitch it. I'm going to pitch it to the people from Spike, so they already know that I'm going to try to do that, and to Dixie and to everyone else. I think Jeff, everybody wants that, Mm-hmm. So I think that if we can get head to head with Vince on Monday night, we're going to be a long shot second. Nobody's going to know. We know a lot of the guys out there. But I believe that because there's such great talent there, innovative people in that show, that it's going to be almost like the old days where people can tune in and you can just sort of go back and forth and see what's going on each program. And, if we have some brand name people that we can add to the mix, like we did years ago with WCW, if you remember when Lex was scheduled to be on Raw that Monday night, and he was on Nitro. Mm-hmm. Well, that created a huge buzz in the wrestling world, and so it's things like that. If we can get things like that to happen, which I believe that we can, then who knows?
Once again, John Massalonis with the Monday Night Mayhem Show. with regards to your main event match upcoming this Sunday at the pay-per-view, have you had the opportunity to talk to Christian? What's your game plan for the big match on Sunday, and what sort of an acquisition do you think that combined with him, that the two of you can make not only to the young roster but to the future of TNA in 2006?
Gosh, I can't answer that question yet. I'm gonna go into the ring and just, I'm just hoping that the rust kicks off really quick, and I believe that it will. I've been in the gym, I've been working out, and I got myself into pretty good physical condition. And it's one of those kind of things where you got to be in the ring with somebody. You got to be out there, getting your hands dirty with the rest of them before you can kind of figure out which angle to take and how things are going to gel. So I just need to work with him. Need to be in the ring with him. I'm looking forward to it though. I think he is a very talented guy. The little bit that I have seen of him.
Thank you very much for these Wrestling Epicenter. Are you going to bring back the big black bat?
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
I apologize. This is the operator. We've had several people wanting to ask him questions. Do you want to open it up for the question A or now? Or?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. That's what we were doing. Yeah, please do.
Okay, I apologize. Let me do that. Hold on. Okay, here we go. If anybody would like to ask a question, they can star 1 on their touchtone phone. Again, star 1. And the first question comes from Jim Vassalone. Go ahead, sir. Your line is open.
Thank you very much. I was listening, and I know that you said getting ready for this match. Is it good then to have a tag match in your first match back?
Well, yeah, I suppose that will help. Yeah, I mean it's you're on the ring apron and waiting for a tag throughout part of the match, whereas when you're wrestling in a singles match, it's go go go. So. But I think I'm ready for either one. If it was a singles match, I think I'd be ready for that as well. So I think that as this year goes by, I'm believing that I'm going to get just stronger, better, and be able to accomplish more as the year goes on. It might take a few times in the ring to be able to shake off some of this rust.
And also, this is a full-time project for you, but you do have some time. There is some flexibility with the TNA schedule compared to WWE. Are you still working on any other movie projects or things like that?
Right now, no. I've been involved in an acting workshop out here in California for about the last, 4 or 5 months or so. And I'm probably going to continue on with that. And I just kind of got my feelers out there over the last year again, too. So we'll see. I would love to be able to do more.
Will you be involved with any Christian wrestling shows, programs?
Oh, I don't think so. Legally, I don't think it would work anyway. Although, if Ted DiBiase, for example, and Nikita Koloff or Vince Russo, and Shawn Michaels, any of them are doing some sort of illustrated sermon kind of stuff, then, if it's all right with the TNA people, then I'd be a part of something like that. But no, as far as Christian wrestling organizations, I don't see that.
And lastly, will it help that you did have some experience already with TNA and some of the roster there and sort of know your way around a little bit already?
Yes, it'll help a little bit.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
Our next question comes from Richard Jones. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Sting. This is Rich Jones from the Pain Clinic in Rochester, New York. And first of all, I want to congratulate you coming back to the world of wrestling so that all your fans who've missed you for the last 4 or 5 years can now see you every week.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
I want to know right off the bat, if this is a very successful first year, is there more than a year in your belt, underneath your belt, to do this? Could you continue on beyond 1 year?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's potential. There is definitely potential for that, and we'll see how my body holds out. And because I don't want to be the old dinosaur in the corner who's not able to even get back up. I don't want to do that. I want to be able to deliver the goods, and if I'm doing that at the end of the year and still feeling pretty good and everyone's happy and everyone wants me back, then I might consider it.
Okay, now I have an ethical question real quick on here. I've been challenged recently by some of our generous sponsors of my radio show, The Pain Clinic, to show where wrestling and good family values intersect. Can you be a good, upstanding religious man and still enjoy wrestling?
Yes, you can. I believe that you can, but man, you have to be grounded, and I mean grounded in the Lord. And it's the old saying: when the crap goes in, it's going to come out. So, when it goes in your eyes and your ears, it's eventually going to come out too. So, if you're watching some of the stuff, for example, on WWE, I heard about what happened on Monday. Oof. And I guess it was pretty hairy stuff, sexual, But I mean, if you're allowing yourself to just watch stuff like that over and over and over again, I mean, what are you going to get out of it? I mean, how will it benefit you? And so, if you can just tune it off when you have to tune it off and tune it in when you want to watch, wrestling action and some talented people out there and bodies flying all over the place and good storyline, that's good storyline, then there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, now I have one question on your incarnation of Sting. There was always rumors going towards the end of WCW that you would come back with a Surfer Sting. Will we ever see that Sting again, ever?
I seriously doubt it because there's not enough hair left on my head to have a flat top haircut anymore.
You get like a John Cena wig.
Yes, man. I mean, the Booker T dreadlocks or something. I don't know.
All right. Well, one more before I let you go, too. I just wanted, by the way, thank you for coming on and doing this today. It's a very wonderful thing. And besides Abyss, is there anybody else, any of the big guys you want to go with? Maybe Samoa Joe?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I saw him work just for the first time in the last month. And, man, that guy he can go. He's another one I'd love to work with him, too, yes.
Thank you very much.
Our next question is Pat Over. Go ahead, please.
I'm back, and I just wanted to ask, with the WWE's DVD on The Ultimate Warrior, what are your thoughts on what they would produce for you if it went toward the burial job, or if it ended up being something that was really positive? Do you have any kind of opinion on that, on what happened with him, and what could possibly happen with you?
Well, with regard to him, I know that he is trying to put together his own documentary, and I've actually interviewed for that documentary. Whether or not it'll actually materialize, I don't know. But I guess in that process, there was some sort of, I think he wanted maybe some of the guys. I mean, he had a list of people that he wanted to be on his documentary, and Vince McMahon being one of them, I'm sure. And I think when he went to talk to him, they got into it or something. They had a disagreement of some kind, and out of that, I guess Vince decided to do a DVD that just buried Jim. And as far as me, I mean, I haven't even really thought about that. I mean, I suppose there's lots of material on every wrestler known to mankind out there, lots of outtakes and a lot of stuff. So, I mean, if someone's goal is to try to bury people, I suppose it can be done.
You were talking about working with Samoa Joe, and this will be my last question. With your return and working off the ring rust, is there a little concern about the physicality of this style? Because TNA definitely works, I would say, a stiffer or stronger style than kind of encountered something that's really brutal in the ring.
Yeah, well, I have memory, so I think it'll fit. I think I'll be just fine. I was always one, even though I wasn't, one of the big guys, one of the monsters. I was never one of those guys. I always liked it to be stiff in the ring. I would rather have it that way than two guys that just really don't work together very well. And I want the moves to look good and to look, crisp.
Great. Thank you, Steve.
All right.
Our next question comes from Ron Jordan. Go ahead, please.
Wrestling from Fort Worth, Texas. How you doing?
All right. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's good to talk with you again. A couple of quick questions. You said in the past that you did not want to return to the ring full time, and I know we're looking at a one-year deal here with TNA, but my question really is, in your most recent talks with WWE, what did they offer you? Were they not willing to work with you on an abbreviated schedule?
Well, I mean, that's a little personal, but I mean, I can say that they were willing to work with me on my schedule, yes, but I know that in 2006 they are going to be leaving the country more times than I believe they ever have. Lots of travel next year, everywhere. So, and whether you're on the Raw schedule or the SmackDown schedule, you're 12 to 15 days a month, and that does not include your travel days and dark days and all that.
Right.
And I'm sure that there would be some months that would be fairly tolerable, and then other months that would just be too much of a grind.
Right.
And I spent too many years running at that pace, and I don't want to do it again. I don't want to leave my family again like that.
In light of that, you've also said, and we've spoken before, and you said that you've expressed how important your family and your relationship is with them. They've had you now pretty much for a pretty good while now. How are they responding to your decision to return to the ring?
There's a little bit of excitement, a little bit of enthusiasm. My boys now, they're 15 and 13, and they're kind of excited about it. Some of their friends are talking about it at school and all that, but they have been around, all the biggest names in wrestling for a long time, and they've been on the road and they've flown all over the country and met most of the guys and all that. So it's not that big of a deal to them, although I know they're looking forward to going to Universal Studios and going to Orlando. So, they're probably excited about that too. And then, my daughter, Gracie, she is only 5, so she's really hasn't had too much of a taste, doesn't really understand what's happening yet.
And your wife?
She was very confused at first. She just did not want to see me go back into it at all. But the way things fell into place, we know that we are going the direction that we need to go right now, and where it just makes sense. And she's accepted it now, embraced it. She's ready for it, prepared for it, and so am I.
I see. So are we looking to a retirement tour of any sort after this 1-year run, or?
We don't know. I don't know that one.
Well, we
haven't even thought about it. So.
Well, we certainly wish you well, Sting. It's great to know that you're coming back, and we're looking forward to seeing you.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Right.
Next question comes from back to the ground. Go ahead, please.
Now that you're back, what's your main goal? Are you looking for titles here, or are you looking for single matches, double matches, to be on the booking committee at some point? Since what are you looking for in this?
I just want to get back into the mix and give back in whatever makes sense. And how that'll pan out over this next year, I don't know. I don't want to be on the booking committee. I don't want the world title, although if it makes sense to do that, then I'm willing to do that. I want to make storyline interesting again for people, for wrestling fans. I want the alternative to be a good, strong alternative.
Well, wouldn't you have to be in a booking committee for something like that then?
No, I wouldn't have to. I don't want to be responsible for booking an entire organization.
Well, for yourself anyway, you'll have a lot of input in what you'll be doing.
Exactly. I'll have input on what I am doing, and I'll offer, all kinds of stuff for other people, and just like I did before.
Right.
I wasn't on the booking committee with WCW, but I had a lot of creative control over what I did, and I gave ideas for Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, the NWO, everybody, Buff Bagwell, but I wasn't on the booking committee, but I was still, the creative juices flow out of people. And, I want to operate like that. I don't want to be on a committee.
Just about every big name wrestler from WCW at that time, and when you were coming up and while people were watching you, you were getting huge. And there was a time where I know you had a personal type of contract than everybody else. WWE, WWF, they never got the chance to get you, and I think it's something that they're always going to still want. Is there any possibility? What could they really bring to the plate to you for you to say, yes, well, let me do it? I mean, it's one of the biggest organizations of all time, and for you not to even be there, it's, I think, kind of a mind-boggling thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a little mind-boggling myself, and I don't want to be short with you, but at the same time, I've made a choice. I've made my decision, and I'm focused now on just TNA, and I can't really focus on that or think about it or think about what it would take because I've made my decision, and the die has been cast, and here I am. I am a TNA wrestler, and I'm looking forward to this challenge over the next year.
Okay, one more question. They say you're going to be there for a year. In a year's time, you don't get the right time spot. What do you feel you're going to do? Because that's what's got to happen at this point in order for them to even be competitive, would people even know that they are around?
Only time will tell. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna press
and it's the main thing. I mean, I'm sure probably Jeff Jarrett has. That's what you really need at this point, to have an earlier time spot. Even for a Friday. Friday's not a great night, but if it was a little bit earlier, even when they run it back on a Monday, it's run late, and you can get some better numbers if they put it on at a decent time, because there's some great wrestling there.
Yeah. Well, I'm just getting my foot in the door here, and I'll see how things play out here. But I mean, my intention is to do that. Now, whether or not it happens or not, if it doesn't happen, what will I do? I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, well, it's going to be great seeing you back, and I'm looking forward to it. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Chris Perry. Go ahead, please.
Your time today.
Hello?
Hi, Steve. Thank you very much for your time today. I really do appreciate it, and certainly welcome back.
Thank you.
You mentioned earlier that with the end, when WCW came to a close, you didn't really get that opportunity to say goodbye the way you wanted to. As you move forward with your career at this point with TNA, and as you may be looking ahead to the final chapters of your in-ring career, how would you like to, if you could choose, how would you like to end your career in the ring?
I don't know. The boots in the middle of the ring, and to be able to just say goodbye, or to have that last match, whatever it is, and to retire, I guess. Somebody just asked me a few minutes ago if I thought about retirement, and I mean, I haven't thought a lot about it, but I suppose if I did leave, it would be something like that. I mean, something other than what happened is all I'm saying. Something, where you don't just disappear like kind of with your tail between your legs, And, I've read so much about wrestling fans saying, we never had a chance to say goodbye to Sting. Sting never had a chance to say goodbye to us, And, how and when that'll happen, I'm not sure, but I know that if it's done, somehow or another in a shooting storyline, then that would be kind of cool, possibly.
Well, and one last question too. Certainly, if you could name one or two people that maybe you've worked with in the past, or have not worked with, that you definitely want to get back in the ring with within the next year or beyond, who would those one or two people be?
You're talking about people I have not worked with, or
maybe people from the past that you have that you really enjoyed working with.
I mean, there's all kinds of people I would have loved to have worked with. I would have loved to have had something with Undertaker and Stone Cold. I mean, before I worked with him when he was Steve Austin, but I mean, it would have been good to do a Stone Cold thing. And The Rock, of course, guys like that, and now there's guys, at TNA that I'd love to be able to get back in the ring with. I mean, whoa, like Abyss and Samoa Joe and AJ Styles, all those guys. There's guys in there, and as time goes on, I'll be able to really kind of, I think, tell who I could have good matches with. So.
Well, Shane, thank you very much for your time, and certainly wish you the very best.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Wade Needham. Go ahead, please.
From World Wrestling Radio. How are you doing today?
Hey, good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. A couple questions here. First one is, was TNA getting a spot on Spike TV a major factor in your decision to sign with them?
Yeah, it was. When I first heard of that, I thought, wow, hey, all right, they're gonna take over the vacancy, and then Jeff ended up calling me and said, hey, we landed Spike. Are you willing to talk? And so, yeah.
Yeah. You could compare the atmosphere backstage in TNA compared to like the days in WCW?
And you start all over. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background. I can barely hear your voice.
Alrighty. What was it like backstage in TNA compared to your days in WCW?
Compared to the days with WCW backstage?
Yes.
Well, I know a lot of people with TNA, but I can say this, most everybody there was extremely friendly. I had people walk up and shake my hand, from the male wrestlers to the female wrestlers, and management people, PR people, attorneys, and even the camera people, all the behind the scenes people. Everybody was pretty cool. I mean, it was actually, it felt like home. It felt really good. And as far as the comparison with WCW, that you can't really make a comparison because I'd been there for so long and knew just about everybody there, and we had a good thing that was, we let slip through our fingers in the end with WCW, and it was a bummer to watch the ship go down slowly but surely. And so the dressing room was a little cynical towards the end there with everybody.
Hi, Sting. My name's Blade. I got a question for you. What was it like to perform in the ring with Ric Flair during your last WCW Nitro broadcast?
It was an emotional night for me because I knew that was it. That was the last night, and I had flashbacks of everything that I had been through with Ric Flair, from the Great American Bashes and the very first Clash of Champions that we did, and all those matches, and all of the crowds, and and Flair chopping my chest, and the press slams, and just the chemistry between the two of us. I enjoyed working with him more than anyone, and it all flashed before my eyes. I just thought, wow, I can't believe, and now I'm actually going out with, the guy who put me on the map, Ric Flair. It was emotional. It was a tough night.
We got another question from one of our fans. His name is Christian on our website. He asked, who is another big time legend you would like to see come to TNA?
Boy, I'd like to see The Rock come here. I'd like to see. I don't see why we couldn't have. Well, you know what? I don't want to say too many names right now. Some of the biggest names in wrestling, you know who they are. Yeah. And I'd like to see them there.
Okay. We'd like to know if you'll be able to cut us a promo.
Depends. What do you want me to do?
Basically, if you could say, this is Sting and you're listening to World Wrestling Radio on WorldWrestling.net.
World Wrestling Radio on WorldWrestling.net?
Yes, sir.
Radio WorldWrestling.net. Okay.
All right.
Tell me when.
Anytime.
Yep, this is the Stinger, and you're listening to World Wrestling Radio on WorldWrestling.net.
Thank you so much, Sting, for your time.
Okay.
Our next question comes from Kirsty Classic. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Sting. This is Kirsty from the New Zealand Pro Wrestling Informer. How are you?
Wow, New Zealand. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, you remember being out here a few years ago, yeah?
Oh, yeah. How are the All Blacks doing?
The All Blacks are kicking butt. They're doing really well.
As usual.
As usual, definitely. They've won the Grand Slam over in Europe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big time. Well, yes, I remember that trip.
Yeah, I'll bet. Our editor interviewed you a while ago as well, I think, back in 2003.
Right.
Sting, what is it that makes TNA exceptional? What makes it a good choice for someone of your moral standing?
Well, it's a lot cleaner show than everything else that's out there right now. And I'm not saying that it's perfect, but it's a much cleaner show. There's the wrestling action on there is second to none, in my opinion. It's unbelievable. I mean, it is what it says is total nonstop action. And I know that there's a lot of very talented people out there that are just looking for the right avenue, the right tool to get their names out there. And you know, I think that TNA and Spike TV is a really good start. I mean, I think it's going to be really, really good. So.
You mentioned that you think the wrestling over there is second to none. What were your first thoughts when you saw X Division wrestling for the first time?
I mean, I thought that I had seen it all when I watched, you know, the Cruiserweight division with WCW and all those guys doing some of the moves that they do. And then when I saw this on TNA, I just said, you got to be kidding me. I mean, I don't know how it's humanly possible to do some of the things that they do. As a matter of fact, I watched it and thought, I can't do this anymore. I can't, there's no way I can come back and do this. You know, it's just passed me by. It's so far by me that, you know, what can I bring? What can I offer? But, you know, as I started to watch and realize that there's still guys out there that are wrestling, you know, like me too. And I'm going to depend on storyline too to, you know, try to drive this thing.
For sure. How does it feel to be re-establishing yourself kind of as a TNA star after having been WCW's franchise player for so long?
How will I do it? Yeah. You said.
Well, no. How does it feel? You know, sort of coming into the locker room as the new guy after being, you know, the main event player in WCW.
It is a major challenge. I mean, there is a work ahead of me that is insurmountable. It is so big, and I know that. I mean, I keep saying that I'm up for the challenge, and I am. I mean, I'm ready for it. I mean, I know that there are people, wrestling fans, that do not want me to come back. There are wrestlers that don't want me to be back there. There are, you know, but then again, there's a lot of them that do. So I know that I have, you know, the physical part of it. You know, my age is a factor now. You know, I'm not the young spring chicken that I was at one time, and so, you know, I have all these issues and things that I know that I have to deal with, and we're trying to launch this show. We're trying to you know, make it a popular show and trying to get a better time slot. There's so much ahead. It is unbelievable. But I've been a part of a company that had to do that once before, and so I know it can be done. So if anything, maybe I can add the some of that tenacity or the fight to be able to just fight through the tough times and the potentially the thin times that might be ahead. Although I'm believing that we're going to be successful soon.
All right. Well, thanks very much for your time. All the best for Final Resolution. We're really looking forward to seeing you back in the ring. Thanks very much.
Hey, if you have any connections on getting my ring jacket back that I wore when I was out there with you guys.
You know what? We actually have been working on that. The staff at NZPWI, we're aware of it, and
some guy put it on eBay. Some guy put it on eBay out there.
Oh, really?
Did you know that? Yeah, he actually tried to sell it. I like that jacket too. I'd love to get it back. So.
Hey, look, we'll do our best. I know that my editor's been trying to track it down. Somebody did mention to him, you know, please can you find Steve's ring jacket? We're doing our best on that one.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
All right, we'll see you.
Our next question comes from Joe Fadaloni. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Okay. A while back you said, quote, I didn't like the way it ended. Could you expound on that a little bit?
Well, we were fierce competitors against, WWF and WWF against us, and we were fighting to become the number one, wrestling organization for a long, long time. And I hate to keep saying the second-class citizen line, but that's what we were for a long time. So to see it, to actually have it and taste it, and then to lose it to the very person that we were competing against all those years. I mean, I'm the only guy who never really left. I never went to the WWF, WWE, and to be the poster child or whatever, carry the banner for WCW all those years, and to I went to the NAFTY conventions, and had those embarrassing moments when WCW would have their little tiny booth set up at the NAFTY convention, and the WWF would have a whole ring set up, and Hulk Hogan would be there, and all these big stars, and here comes Sting with the WCW little tiny booth off in the corner and tail between the legs, and I remember those times, and then to have what we had, and then to lose it, to Vince, it wasn't easy.
Is Vince a good guy or a bad guy?
I've never worked for him. I only have, my own. We all hear stories, okay, and I only know my own personal experience with him. He's been nothing but a gentleman to me always. He's treated me with respect, and he's been kind and considerate, and all the good stuff. He's been good to me on the phone. So, but I've never worked for him. So,
okay. Suppose you get your Monday night presents, and do you see that sparking a boom?
Yes, I do. I believe that there is a potential for that. I really do, and because I believe that there's an audience out there. There's a WCW audience that's still out there, and many of them have tuned out and just turned it off. And I believe that if word gets out there again that, there's another alternative, and that, some familiar faces, not just one or, a couple, but maybe more, that it can spark something.
If Monday night doesn't work out, though, what night of the week do you have in the top of your mind as, that's the one right there?
I don't have any other night. No. Monday's the only night I'm thinking.
Really?
Yeah.
If you had to put a percentage on it, 50%, 60%, it's going to happen, what would you say?
Man, you know what? Can you ask me that question in another 6-8 weeks? I mean, I've barely got my foot in the door. I haven't even met the people from Spike yet. I mean, I'm just, it's too hard to tell. I just know what potential there is. Now, whether or not you get everybody to agree and to buy into it, that's another thing. They have. I want to go over some stuff that I have and just see if it all works out. I really don't want to say too much, obviously, for obvious reasons, but
no crazy heel turn coming, is there?
Well, we tried that once, and I think that if the crowd turns you heel, then that might be a good time to do it.
And you're not opposed to it?
No, I'm not opposed to it. If it were, if I come back on Sunday and every TV after that, and I'm getting booed out of the audience, or booed out of the building, then we're gonna have to talk. So we'll see. I don't know. I have no idea what to expect. When Hulk Hogan first came to WCW in the mid-'90s, and they instantly put us together in tag matches, and we'd go to Chicago, we'd go to the Cow Palace in San Francisco, and gosh, he was getting booed. Wrestling fans were kind of ticked off. They were pretty loyal.
Yep.
And so anyway, he ultimately became Hollywood Hogan.
There you go. Finally, what's your favorite look? Early Sting or the Crow Sting, and why? If you had to pick.
Man, it's so easy just to go to the Crow look, only because it was pretty successful, and 2006. And when you think about the blonde haired guy. It's so outdated now. It's like, oh boy, that doesn't look too appealing right now.
But you looking back, when you look back at all your pictures in your career and your scrapbook, what are you going to say to yourself, when you're 88? Boy, I like this one.
Gosh, it's just a couple years away. You know what? I think I'm always going to be partial to the first one. That was. I mean, I can't even say that. I'm partial to both of them for different reasons. I mean, they're both two like totally different entities. I mean, the blonde-haired one, that's the way I started. That was me. That was my personality. That was my, the colors and my design, the scorpion, the tights, the boots, the whole look. It was my look, all the jackets I wore. So I'm, and I like that. I do like that. But man, the Crow character thing was huge. I had so much fun doing that.
All right, and we'll see a bit of a morphing, as you said, of the two coming up Sunday, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, very good. Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Next question comes from Brian Argobright. Go ahead, please.
Thanks.
Yes.
First of all, I've been a long-time fan. I write a wrestling column here in a small town of Del Rio, Texas, which is about 130 miles from San Antonio, so we really never got a chance to see the big names like you close up here in the 90s and into the 2000s when wrestling hit its major boom. So it's great to see a guy like you coming back.
Well, thank you.
My main question is, I know religion is a huge part of your life. You give good thanks to the Lord and Jesus Christ whenever you can. You see a man like Shawn Michaels who admits himself that the Lord has taken, put him on the right path. He admitted that he was, in a bad place, and the Lord picked him back up and gave him back the opportunity to make his life whole again. You see a man like that in WWE whose product is, as you said, not so, family friendly. There are some parts of it that, the folks probably won't agree with. What are your thoughts on Shawn's role in the WWE? Do you think that because he is such a strong Christian that it can exist in that area, or it's just not for someone like you?
Well, no, I believe that it can exist, and I believe that Shawn is where God wants him to be right now, and I believe that I'm where God wants me to be right now. I believe that God led me here to TNA. I mean, that is a part of why I'm here, and I don't want to say that because most people are going to go, what does he mean God led him there? What does that mean? If you can't hear the full thing, you don't know the context, you don't know the whole testimony, the story about the whole thing, then it won't make sense to you. That's why I'm giving the answers that I'm giving. They're all true. They're all true answers. Shawn being where he is, when I saw him after Eddie Guerrero had died, and I heard that he had prayed with every single wrestler at WWE, the SmackDown crew, and also the Raw crew. Vince had asked him to do that. He said, we're going to do something we've never done before. Shawn, could you pray right now? And so Shawn prayed. And then the next night, you saw all the special interviews that the guys did, the guys that were real close to Eddie, and heard what Shawn said. And, he lifted up the name of Jesus Christ and acknowledged him as being his Lord and Savior, just like he was for Eddie. And so I thought that was pretty strong. And, Christ went in and amongst all the, all the sinners, the murderers and the adulterers and the drug addicts and the dealers, and he was in the middle of all of them. So, I mean, and I'm not saying that wrestling is full of people like that, because people are going to run with it. They're going to think that I'm judging, and I'm not judging, because, man, I led the pack for a long time, and lived that lifestyle too. So I would never point the finger at anyone. But Shawn is, I think, a light that is shining where he is, and he's not ashamed of it. Unfortunately, there are many Christians out there who do not talk about it, and because they're afraid to. They're afraid that they're going to be, mocked or persecuted or made fun of, and Shawn's not like that. He's a man's man, and he's standing up for what he believes. The old saying, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. and I'm the same way.
Looking back in your career, you've held numerous titles. You've traveled all across the world. Even now, you've been out of the spotlight for several years, and now that you've come back, it's, the interest is once again getting to that peak level. What would you like for your legacy to be in this business?
Well, you know what? That I was a guy who found the Lord, found the truth, straightened his life out, and still worked hard to entertain people with integrity, with good stuff that's just good for people, good for families, good for kids, and that he never said or did anything that was, harmful or harmful to anyone. I mean, he didn't, go for the cheap pop. We all know what the cheap pop is, and I'd like to be remembered for somebody who, tried to, give back too, and went out with style. I want to go out with style.
Well, I certainly hope that you get the opportunity to go out the way you want to. I hope that it ends much, better for Sting and for your career, and hopefully it won't end the way it did for several other WCW guys who, once it was over there, they just sort of faded into the background and, were unfortunately forced to take these second and third hand roles, not only in the wrestling business, but almost in the entire entertainment community.
Right.
I know you've done, I've seen you worship, I've seen you on television preaching about the word of the Lord, and I think, like you're right, it does take a strong man to be able to stand up and do something like that.
Yeah.
So again, Sting, thanks for coming back. Thanks for giving the fans one more chance to see you, and hopefully, this year turns out the way you want it, and ends on a note that you're really looking forward to.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Our next question comes from John Chapman. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Sting, how are you?
Good.
Welcome back, first of all. I was just curious. I mean, you've been out of the ring for a while, but have you stayed tapped into the industry at all?
I have seasons, kind of where I'll tune in just to kind of see what's going on. For the first couple of years, I would tune in quite a bit just to see what they were doing with some of the, WCW guys. And then it just kind of tapered off, and, it just got to the point where there was nothing that interested me at all. I mean, it was just, I said, wow, man, I don't even, if I did go back, I don't even know where I would ever plug myself in. It just seems so, it just doesn't make sense anymore, And then recently I started watching a little bit again to, just to get back in the swing, so.
Right. And I was just curious also. I mean, do you see yourself in any of these young guys? I mean, these guys can do things I didn't think was capable in the ring, but I mean, do you see yourself in any of them?
Yeah, I do, and I've had, some guys come to me and say, man, when I was little, I watched you, and that's the reason why I'm in wrestling. I took this and that from you, and I do this move, and I like to do this, and, I like to, my style is because of, watching you all those years. And so that's pretty humbling. It's flattering, and it's kind of cool, actually. You kind of left your stamp on wrestling.
And I spoke to Christian last week, and, I mean, for a young guy like that, I mean, are you hoping that your presence will maybe inspire some of the younger guys or some of the other, wrestlers in your boat where they haven't wrestled for a while to jump to TNA?
Yeah, I'm hoping for both. I'm hoping to, get favor with a lot of those young guys in there who are not quite sure what to think of me quite yet, and some of them are probably looking like, oh man, they've invited the dinosaur to come back. When will he ever go away? And I know what it's like. Back 10 years ago, I was still in there, and you just go, man, some of these guys have been around forever and ever. And it's like they never like let us run with the ball, you know. So I know what that's like, but you know, that's not my intention. You know, my intention is to come in and to help. I wanna add to the whole thing. I don't want to take. It's not about me. It's not about me coming in and trying to become the biggest, you know, superstar Sting that I can possibly be again. It's the whole package. It's everybody. You know, I'd like to see everybody get raised up, and if you know, some of those young guys would believe that, then I think that, you know, there's potential for good stuff to happen.
In perfect world, tomorrow's your last match. Who are you facing?
If tomorrow was my last match?
Right. Well, you know, whatever your last match is, in perfect world, who would you like to face?
A TNA wrestler?
Anybody.
Gosh. Oh, boy.
Can you give me a couple guys so I don't get pissed at you or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I've told Abyss already, you know, if I go out, I'd love to go out doing a storyline, you know, something with you, you know. And so I just, as far as the TNA wrestler goes, he's one of the big guys. I've always had good matches with guys like that. I'd love to be able to do something with him. And I don't know, I'd love to be able to wrestle, you know, why not The Rock, you know? I'd love to be able to wrestle him.
Be great. Last thing, and I know you did it for someone earlier, a couple of guys who would love for you to do a promo. Very simple. Just the website's thecheappop.com, and whatever you like, you can say.
Cheappop.com?
The Cheap Pop, which is...
Yeah. Okay, just tell me when.
Okay, shoot.
This is the Stinger, and you're listening to thecheappop.com, where it's showtime every day.
Thanks, man. Good luck with everything, all right?
All right.
All right, you take it easy.
The next question comes from Chris Young. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Chris Young with WMQX in Greensboro, man. Welcome back.
Wow, thank you.
It's going to be great to have you back. Listening to everybody talk, Dave, they definitely had some great questions. And TNA has definitely stepped up the game. So first off, hats off to them, not only for what they've done, but for bringing you in. Now, since you've been gone, what did you miss the most, and what did you not miss at all?
I didn't miss the travel, airplanes and airports, and I missed being in the ring in front of a lot of people when the storyline was real hot.
What was your all-time favorite place to wrestle?
Man, oh boy. The Baltimore Arena was always a really good one for me. I loved Chicago. Anywhere we went in Chicago was always good. Man, there were so many good places. There were places all over the South that were really, really good.
Now, if Sting could go back 20 years and do anything different, would he? And if he would, what would it be?
Say it again?
I said, if Sting could go back 20, 25 years and do anything different, would he? And if it was, what would he do?
Wow, it's exactly 20 years, by the way. Oh, man. Well, I probably would have found the Lord.
Definitely, I definitely being here, in North Carolina, that is something else that is huge, and that is going to go great. Are there any wrestlers that you've had a chance to take a look at on the TNA roster or other ones that when you see them wrestle, you say, oh man, that cat reminds me of blank when I used to wrestle?
Well, Abyss reminds me of Paul White. For some reason, he just reminds me of Paul White. Who else? Yeah, that's all. I mean, I can't think of anyone else that reminds me of somebody. But, again, it's one of those questions you ask me in another 6 or 8 weeks, and I'll have lots of answers for you.
Right. And finally, my last question, talking about moving the night from Saturday night time slot that you have now to a different night. Being also in marketing, wouldn't it make sense to move the product, which is very strong, to another night. For somebody like myself, who's just an overall wrestling nut, I love TNA more than I love WWE, but I watch them both. And if I could watch WWE on Monday night, TNA on Tuesday night, or Wednesday night, I mean, wouldn't that probably be a grander scale deal than trying to go head-to-head right off the bat?
It could possibly be. I mean, definitely. I don't know. It's one of those deals, you know. I wanna figure all this out. I just know what I know in the past, and I know that there's a huge WCW audience out there that used to click back and forth. You know, we were doing 3s and 4s. They were doing 3s and 4s. And sometimes we did a 2-something, they do a 5-something. Sometimes we do a 6 or something, and they do a 3. I mean, and now, you know, overall, I think maybe they're averaging a 3.5 or something on USA. I don't know what their average is. I think they've reached into the 4s a couple times here and there, but you know, there's a huge portion of them that are gone, and they're accustomed to tuning in to wrestling on Monday night, and it just seems like a strong wrestling night.
Excellent point. Sting, TNA is great, and it's only going to get greater with you on there. We appreciate, first off, you standing up for your beliefs and your religion. Man, I can't wait to see you back on TV, brother.
Thank you very much.
Come from Doc Young. Go ahead, please.
Singer, how you doing? This is Doc Young from Wrestling Weekly with Les Thatcher.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I wanted to ask you, how much creative control do you think that you're going to be able to have?
Well, over what I personally do, a lot. But you know, it's not like I'm coming in, you know, with the hardball attitude, my way or the highway, and you know, I'm not coming in. I'm open to anything, you know, and I'm open to everyone's ideas, and it's not just me, and it won't be just me. I'm expecting people to you know, come to the plate with, which I know that they will, with ideas and good storyline. And, you know, I think that I might not, you know, be able to write a storyline that could carry out throughout a whole year, but I do believe that I'm pretty good at tweaking what's before me.
Excellent. Here's something that I've always wondered. Who came up with the crow gimmick?
Scott Hall, I would have to give him the credit for that. He said, you know, you should paint your face white and wear black, you know, and like black lips, and you know. So I went, yeah, you know, and so and it was a conversation with Eric Bischoff. It was just us three. We were sitting in a restaurant in the hotel we were at on the road one time, and you know, characters were changing, and you know, Hollywood Hogan emerged, and you know, the NWO, and you know, it was time for Sting to change because you know, I was outdated. So he mentioned that, and that's where it originated, and then I just kind of started painting away.
Were you guys worried about getting sued?
Sued by who?
The makers of the movie?
No.
I have one last question for you. Do you sometimes feel like you're pigeonholed as morally superior due to your beliefs?
Morally superior? You mean like a holier than thou person?
Yeah, by other people.
I hope not, because one thing that I have not done is I have not come, like when I gave my life to the Lord in August of '98, and I wrestled all the way through until the very end with Ric Flair on that last match. And I never came with, you know, the Bible open and, you know, started preaching to the guys. I didn't do that. I just let, you know, my example be my testimony. And, you know, in the beginning, a lot of the guys were it was uncomfortable and awkward, and, you know, some of them even thought that I was involved in some kind of religious cult or something, you know. But after a while, they figured out that, you know, he's just a guy who is cleaning up his life.
Mm-hmm.
And he's straightening out. He no longer, you know, does this or this. But you know what? He still goes into the gym and he works out. He still goes and he goes out every night and he performs. He does his interviews. He shows up and he does his job, you know, and you know, I was a designated driver too, so I was liked, you know, and after a while it was like, you know, I was Father Sting, you know, they would, you know, kind of joke around, but they accepted me. They all accepted me in the end, and realized that I'm the same guy.
Yeah. Excellent. Sting, I want to wish you luck. It's going to be a great ride. Thank you.
Sting, good afternoon. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Okay, you know the old saying, out of sight, out of mind. It's been nearly 5 years since you've been on national television. Worried that maybe the younger generation of the wrestling fans have kind of distanced themselves away from Sting, and they're not going to really remember Sting going into this Sunday's pay-per-view.
Yeah, there's a certain level of that. Definitely. I know that there is a generation that doesn't even know who I am now. So, that's another part of the big road.
Are you going to say that one day to yourself, do you think?
Yeah, well, I've said it many times already. Yeah, no, it's strange. I agree with everybody. It's a really kind of a weird deal that I never ended up going there. But I just believed that all the times throughout the 90s that I talked to Vince that the reason why he wanted me to come work for him was more to undermine WCW than it was to hire me as a talent. So, and now it's just, the commitment that would have to be made. I don't want to do that. And it just seems natural for me when there's the choice before me to go to TNA.
Was an example of what happened on Monday night, would that influence you not to go to the WWF?
Well, it wasn't just that particular Monday night. It's many Monday nights throughout every year. And yes, it definitely. I mean, it's a tough one, man, for me to go into that world. Even though Vince was really good to me when he talked to me on the phone and said, I would never ask you to do anything that would compromise what you believe. And juices were flowing, and it was a good, positive working environment, and it was a great ride.
Two more things, Sting. Somebody asked earlier about the Ultimate Warrior. A, do you talk to him? B, do you think he'd be a good acquisition for TNA?
I talked to him through this documentary that he wanted to do on himself, and aside from that, I really hadn't talked to him in years, and it was just about probably spring and summer of last year that I started talking with him, and then I actually was a part of his a documentary. I don't know if it'll ever make it, but anyway, I did that. And as far as an acquisition to TNA, yeah, I think it would be pretty interesting.
And just your last final thoughts with Eddie Guerrero.
Well, I was sad to hear the news, obviously, and really bummed out because I have a history with his whole family. All of his brothers, some way or another, affected me and taught me in the beginning. Mondo did, Chavo did, and Hector, I never really worked with him, but he believes the same thing that I believe, and so does Eddie. And because I believe what I believe, I know that I will see Eddie again. So, I have some peace in that, but I'm hoping that it'll just open everyone's eyes. Everyone out there.
Hello.
Yo.
I'm on the phone with Sting. Can't talk. I'll call you back, okay?
All right, Sting. I hope you have a lot of fun in Orlando. It's beautiful there. I was just there. And kids have fun this Sunday. And I hope everything works out great for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, Sting, it's Andy. I want to thank you for we've gone over longer than I thought we would do today. If anybody had questions they didn't get answered, I apologize, but I know Sting's got some other commitments this afternoon. So just want to thank everybody for being on the call today.
Thank you.
And if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to contact me or Ross or somebody with TNA. And I think we'll end it now.
All right. Thank you.